my favorite strategy for determining exits, and why trading is so much about being in rhythm. And we'll go to the charts to look at the E-mini S&P 500. Let me take you to this week's NinjaTrader Charting Edge. Pulled up the E-mini S&P 500 daily chart, and same old with the indicators. 20 period, 3 standard deviation Bollinger Bands. Red is a 10-day simple moving average, and that gold line is that middle Bollinger Band, 20 period simple moving average. What a comeback in the E-mini S&P. And I'm seeing a lot of people talking about fundamentals now and how this rally is probably way overbought and all of these different things, saying how this move may not be for real and it's probably going to start selling off again soon just because we've had such a massive rally. Well, I always look at all of that for sentiment, and then I go to the charts to say, what's the market telling me? What do I say every week on the show? What is my favorite look? Holding above a 10-day moving average with what? The mouth of the Bollinger Band's opening. I look at this chart, and this is a very bullish look. We're taking out the previous peaks on the top and the bottom of the daily chart. Mouth is wide open, 10-day moving average straight up. Yeah, there's definitely room for it to come back to the 10-day moving average, which is almost 100 points lower than where we are right now. But I'm not going to get bearish until I see what? That mouth of that Bollinger Band start to come back in, and we start to get back below the 10-day moving average. It's just a simple gauge of using technical analysis of, what do I always say? Green light, red light, yellow light. Right now, it's green light long. Everything on my short-term strategy is going to be continue to buy the dips until I see this daily chart start to come back in and we get back below the 10-day moving average. Just to give you some insight on what we've seen in the past in the similar look, look at it right here coming off of this low. Taking out those previous peaks, mouth of the Bollinger Band opening up, look how long that lasted, right? Until we finally started to get below the 10-day moving average and the mouth of that Bollinger Band started to come in. Then we got actually bearish only for a short period of time and then a lot of sideways chop. That could happen here. So like I always say, it's great to look at Twitter for sentiment, hear what other macro people are saying, looking at what the fundamentals are. But for me, it always comes down to, what do the charts tell me the market wants to do? I got a great message the other day on YouTube where a trader asked me, what is my favorite strategy for looking for exits? Well, you asked, and I'm going to explain to you. So we talked about the E-mini S&P today on the daily chart, and I talked about how it's just a green light bullish look. I'm not going to trade off of the daily intraday. Just too wide of stops, very hard for me to control risk. And like I said, it was 100 points higher than the 10-day moving average. So there could be a lot of slippage in being long. So what I do is I take it down to a shorter term chart. And today I pulled up the E-mini S&P 500 on a 3-minute chart. I like the 3-minute chart a lot when I'm doing my intraday scalping or intraday swing trading, because to me, it's just a really good time frame to help me manage risk. And what I look for coming off the daily is, first off, I know I'm bullish, so I'm going to look for only long setups right now. I talked about how my look of when the mouth of the Bollinger Band is opening, to me, whatever direction we're in, whether we're above or below the 10-day moving average, to me, that's the direction you don't want to fade until what happens? The mouth of that Bollinger Band starts to come back in and it starts to close back up. So I keep the same exact setup on my daily on the 3-minute. When the mouth of the Bollinger Band starts to close and we get back above a 10-period moving average, which right now on a 3-minute is only the 30-minute moving average, but the mouth of the Bollinger Band closes, to me, that is going to give me a bullish look on this time frame. What do I look for support? Well, I take a fib tool and I draw it to the peak of the top to the bottom, and I use a 70%, 50%, and 30% line. That 30% line, when it coincides with my 10-period moving average, is a very good level of support for me. Once again, this is all coming based off of the daily because I'm looking for longs, so this to me is key support. What I'll use for a stop, most of the time will just be below this low, and then the question that trader asked me is, what will I use for targets? Well, my targets are going to be that 50% line. So instead of taking a fib from the top of this high to this low, I take it to the top of the Bollinger Band peak to the bottom of the Bollinger Band peak. And that is that 50% level right there, roughly at 46.11. That is going to be my first area of taking risk off. my hopes are usually that this is 1-to-1 to my level of risk. So if I bought at 05, let's say, and sold at 11, that's 6 points. Right around here, you're going to look and see I have around 5 to 6 points of risk. So this, in a perfect world, is about 1-to-1 where I take off a quarter or even half of my position. Now, once it gets above here, I have two other levels that I'll leave trailers for. 70% line, which is 46.16, and that 100% line, which is 46.25. Now I'll just use these moving averages, or I'll even use anchored VWAPs or any tool of your choice to be able to just help guide you. And then I'll keep trailing stops and look for them to potentially hit those targets. So for me, my targets are really simple. Bollinger Bands overlaid with a simple fib. I tweak them a little bit with the 70%, 50%, and 30%, but that's what I use for my targets. To tie all of what we talked about today in, you see a lot of people on Twitter talking about these big picture targets. But as we all know, traders are made by executing the journey to the destination, not calling the destination. It's great to have these huge areas that people are looking for to potentially test in the market, especially see it a lot in Bitcoin. But it's about executing the journey. That's why I look at the daily like I showed you today, develop that longer term bias. Then I take it down and I execute the journey using my shorter term time frame like I showed you in the 3-minute chart. Just always think about this. Don't look at that final destination. Get better at executing the journey to that destination. In today's show, we talked a lot about the E-mini S&P 500 contracts, but don't forget about those micros. Check out the MES. That's the micro E-mini S&P 500 contract. It's 1/10 the size of 1 ES. To learn more, go to cmegroup.com. My most popular tweet last week was this. I got out of rhythm one time this week and it almost cost me my entire week. So much about this business is about the rhythm of your execution. Good decision making is contagious. Bad decision making is contagious. I talked about crude oil over the past week and how I was very bullish, and I talked about how I'm going to continue to press my longs and keep buying dips in crude oil. But one thing that I did wrong this week was I bought a bounce in crude oil. Instead of waiting to buy the dip, got a little anxious, got in on a bounce instead of a dip, and really just turned my week around. And quickly I was reminded, what was my plan? Anthony, buy the dips on weakness. Instead, I bought a rally on strength because I had a super bullish look. If I was a little bit more patient and waited for my setup when the weakness came in, I would have done much better. So it's just a constant reminder. Look, we're all traders. We're all in this together. We all make mistakes, but it's just about staying in that good decision mindset. Keep doing what you plan to do. Because if you get off a little bit, it could almost cost you your entire week or more, like it almost did to me. Traders, I want to hear from you. What are your charts telling you about the E-mini S&P? Are they bullish, bearish, neutral? Let me know in the comments down below. Never miss an episode of Develop Your Edge. Click that subscribe button right there. You could also DM me on Twitter. My DMs are open, @Anthony Crudele. Don't forget to check out Instagram, Anthony C. Crudele. That's a wrap for today. See you next week.